The Echo of a Name. Chapter 1. Some friendships are like quiet streams, flowing gently alongside you through life. Others are like sudden, rushing rivers, powerful and all-consuming, shaping the very landscape of your world before veering off in an unexpected direction, leaving you standing on the bank, forever changed. My friendship with Lily was the rushing river. We were inseparable from the moment we met. Two 7-year-old girls with scraped knees and boundless imaginations. She was my shadow, my confidant, my partner in every childhood adventure. And then she was gone. My name is Eleanor. I'm 59 years old. The years since Lily disappeared, when we were just 12, have been filled with their own joys and sorrows, a life lived, a family raised. But the memory of her and the abrupt, unexplained way she vanished from my life has always remained a quiet ache in my heart. A question mark lingering in the narrative of my childhood. We lived in a small, close-knit town, the kind where everyone knew everyone. Lily and I were attached at the hip. We built tree houses, explored the woods behind our houses, whispered secrets under starry summer skies. She had a wild spark in her eyes, a mischievous grin, and a loyalty that was fierce and true. Her family was a bit different from mine. Her mother was often ill. Her father worked long hours, and their house, though filled with love, always seemed to carry a hint of sadness, a fragility that even my young eyes could sense. One Tuesday afternoon, I went to her house to walk to school together, just like any other day. But her mother answered the door, her face pale and drawn. She said Lily wasn't feeling well, that she wouldn't be at school. I was disappointed, but thought nothing more of it. I'd see her the next day. But the next day, she wasn't at school either. Or the day after that. Days turned into a week into 2. Her mother gave vague explanations about Lily being sick, needing rest. Then, a rumor started circulating in town. The Lilligrens had moved away. Just like that. No goodbyes, no forwarding address, no explanation. I was heartbroken, confused. Why would she leave without telling me? Without saying goodbye? We had promised to be best friends forever. The abruptness of her departure felt like a betrayal, a painful tearing away of a bond I thought was unbreakable. I never saw or heard from her again. My parents tried to find out where they went, but information was scarce. Her father's job had taken them, was the only explanation given. It felt insufficient, a hollow answer for the gaping hole left in my world. As the years passed, the vividness of my memories of Lily faded slightly, replaced by the demands of adolescence, college, marriage, raising my own children. But the question of her disappearance, the mystery of why she left so suddenly, always remained. Sometimes, in quiet moments, I would find myself thinking of her, wondering where she was, what she was doing, if she ever thought of me. Life went on. I built a good life, a happy life. But the ghost of that lost friendship, the unresolved ending to a chapter of my childhood, lingered. Fast forward to the present. My children are grown. I'm enjoying the quieter pace of retirement. I volunteer at the local animal shelter, a place that brings me a lot of joy. One rainy afternoon, a new volunteer started, a woman in her late 50s, with kind eyes and a gentle way with the animals. Her name was Susan. As we worked side by side cleaning kennels, feeding the cats, I found myself drawn to her. There was something familiar about her, a certain tilt of her head when she listened, a way she smiled that sparked a flicker of recognition. Deep in the recesses of my memory, her hands as she stroked a purring cat were slender, with long fingers, just like Lily's, and her voice, soft and melodious, had a resonance that stirred something within me, an echo of a sound I hadn't heard in nearly 50 years. It was foolish, of course. People resemble each other. Voices can sound similar. It had been so long, but the feeling persisted, a nagging sense of familiarity that I couldn't shake. We talked about our lives, our families, our shared love for animals. Susan had moved to our town recently, seeking a change of pace after living in different cities for years. She spoke about her life, her travels, her experiences. There was a quiet resilience about her, a sense that she had weathered storms, but had come out stronger. As we chatted one afternoon, I found myself asking about her childhood. A casual question, one you ask when getting to know someone new. "Oh, I moved around a lot when I was a kid," she said with a shrug. "My father's job took us to different places." "Me too," I said. "Mostly around this area, though. I grew up right here in this town." "Oh, really?" she said, her eyes widening slightly. "Small world. I actually lived here for a little while when I was a girl. Just for a couple of years." My heart skipped a beat. "Really? What years were you here?" She paused, thinking. "Let's see, I think it was from maybe 7 until I was about 12. 7 to 12. The exact years Lily and I were inseparable best friends." "What street did you live on?" I asked, my voice a little breathless. I think it was Maple Street," she said, a hesitant frown on her face. "That little blue house with the big oak tree in the backyard." Maple Street. The little blue house with the big oak tree. Lily's house. My mind reeled. The resemblance, the years, the town, the street, the house. It couldn't be a coincidence. "What was your last name when you lived here?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She looked at me, a strange expression on her face, a mix of curiosity and perhaps a hint of apprehension. It was Lilligren," she said softly. "Susan Lilligren. Susan Lilligren. Not Lily, but the last name, Lilligren. The same last name as my childhood best friend." Chapter 2. Susan Lilligren. The name hung in the air between us, heavy with unspoken history. My mind raced, trying to reconcile the woman standing before me with the freckle-faced girl with mischievous eyes who had been my best friend. Susan wasn't Lily, but she was a Lilligren, living in Lily's house, at the same time Lily lived there. The coincidences were too numerous, too specific to be random. I stared at her, searching for more than just a resemblance, searching for a confirmation of the impossible hope that was surging through me. "My best friend," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "When I was a girl, her name was Lily Lilligren. She lived on Maple Street, in a little blue house with a big oak tree." Susan's eyes widened even further, and her face paled slightly. "Lily?" she repeated, her voice barely audible. "Yes," I said, tears welling up in my eyes. "We were inseparable. And then she disappeared. Her family moved away suddenly. I never knew what happened." Susan was quiet for a long moment, looking at me with an intensity that felt both foreign and deeply familiar. The resemblance was clearer now, more pronounced, as if the name had unlocked something, allowing me to see the echoes of the girl in the woman. My name is Susan Lilligren now, she said softly. But when I was a little girl, everyone called me Lily. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Susan was Lily, my Lily, grown up, standing right in front of me after nearly 50 years of silence and separation. Tears streamed down my face, tears of shock, relief, and the overwhelming joy of a connection rediscovered. I reached out, and she met my embrace, two women clinging to each other, bridging 5 decades of unspoken history, of lost time, of a friendship abruptly severed. "Eleanor?" she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "Is that really you?" "Yes, Lily," I sobbed, holding her tightly. "It's me. It's really you." We pulled apart, looking at each other through tear-filled eyes. The resemblance was undeniable now. The summer sky eyes, the shape of her smile, even the way she tilted her head. It was my Lily, grown older, but still my Lily. We spent the next few hours talking, a torrent of questions and answers pouring out of us, filling in the vast emptiness of the intervening years. She explained everything. Her name wasn't Susan Lilligren when she was born. 'Twas Lily Ann Miller. Her father wasn't the man I knew as Mr. Lilligren. Her life in the little blue house on Maple Street was a carefully constructed facade, a secret kept hidden from the world and from me. Her parents, the people I knew as the Lilligrens, were not her birth parents. They were her aunt and uncle. Her real mother, her birth mother, was her aunt's sister. She had been very young, unmarried, in a difficult situation. Lily's father, her birth father, was not in the picture. Her birth mother had been unable to care for her. Her aunt and uncle, the Lilligrens, had taken her in, raising her as their own daughter, but keeping her true identity a secret to protect her and themselves from the judgment and shame of the time. They had moved to our town to try and start fresh, away from anyone who knew her birth mother. They had given her the name Lily, a nickname of her birth mother's. They had created a false birth certificate, weaving a tapestry of deception to give her a normal life. But the secret was always there, a silent weight carried by the adults in her life. Her mother, the woman I knew as Mrs. Lilligren, was indeed often ill, suffering from the stress and anxiety of maintaining the deception. Her father, Mr. Lilligren, worked long hours, perhaps trying to escape the burden of the lie. Then, when we were 12, something happened. Someone from their past, someone who knew the truth, found them. They were exposed. The fear of scandal, of legal consequences, was immense. They had to disappear again, quickly, without a trace. "They told me we had to move because of my father's job," Lily said, her voice tinged with sadness. "I didn't understand. They packed everything so quickly. I didn't even have time to say goodbye to you. I wanted to, Eleanor. I wanted to tell you, but they said I couldn't, that it was too dangerous." They had changed her name again to Susan, given her a new last name, severed all ties to their previous life. They had moved far away, disappearing into anonymity to protect their secret. Lily had grown up carrying the weight of that secret, the knowledge that her life was built on a foundation of deception, that her identity was a carefully constructed lie. She had longed to contact me, to explain, but her aunt and uncle were terrified of being found. After her aunt and uncle passed away, she had felt a pull to return to the town where she had experienced her happiest childhood years, the years she spent with me as Lily. She had bought the little blue house on Maple Street, drawn back by a powerful, inexplicable sense of belonging, a yearning for the life she had lost, the friendship she had left behind. And then she had seen me at the animal shelter. The resemblance, the familiar name, the town, it had all clicked into place. She had recognized me too. The adult reflection of the girl she had shared secrets with under starry skies. Chapter 3. The days and weeks that followed our reunion were filled with a heady mix of joy, disbelief, and the quiet work of rebuilding a friendship that had been frozen in time for nearly 50 years. We were no longer 12-year-old girls with scraped knees, but women who had lived full lives, weathered storms, and carried the invisible scars of time and experience. But the core of our connection, the deep understanding and affection that had bound us as children, was still there, remarkably intact. We spent hours talking, filling in the vast emptiness of the intervening decades. Lily told me about her life after she disappeared, the fear and confusion of constantly moving, the burden of carrying a false identity, the quiet sadness of knowing she couldn't contact me. She spoke about her aunt and uncle, the complex mix of love and resentment she felt towards them. Love for raising her and giving her a home, and resentment for the secrecy and the severed ties to her past. She had lived in various cities, had different jobs, but there was always a sense of restlessness, a feeling of not truly belonging, perhaps a subconscious yearning for the life she had lost in our small town. She never married, never had children, her life shaped in part by the instability and secrecy of her upbringing. I shared my own life story, my marriage, my children, the quiet rhythm of my life after they left home. I was honest about the lingering pain of her disappearance, the feeling of confusion and betrayal I had carried as a child. Lily listened with compassion, her own pain reflected in her eyes. The little blue house on Maple Street, once a symbol of our shared childhood, became a place of healing and reconnection. We spent time there, walking in the backyard, sitting under the big oak tree, revisiting the ghosts of our younger selves. Memories flooded back. Silly jokes, shared fears, whispered dreams. It was like stepping back in time, but with the wisdom and perspective of adulthood. We talked about her birth mother. Lily knew her name and a few sparse details, but had never met her. Her aunt and uncle had been very protective, fearing that any contact could expose their secret. Now Lily felt a pull to learn more about her origins, about the woman who had given her life. We decided to embark on this new search together, a joint quest to uncover another layer of her hidden history. Using the limited information she had and leveraging the power of online genealogy resources, we began searching for her birth mother. It was a delicate search, filled with the potential for uncovering more pain or complicated truths. But after decades of living with a fragmented identity, Lily felt ready to face whatever we might find. We started with her birth mother's name and approximate age. We looked for any records that might connect her to the Lilligren family or to our town from the time period before Lily was born. The search was slow and challenging. Names and dates were often inconsistent due to the efforts to hide the truth. But we persevered, driven by a deep desire to find answers. Eventually, we found a record that seemed to connect, an old newspaper article from a neighboring town from the early 1960s detailing a local community event. Listed among the attendees was a young woman whose name matched Lily's birth mother's name, and beside her, her sister, the woman I knew as Mrs. Lilligren. This confirmed the connection, placing Lily's birth mother in the vicinity around the time Lily was born. We continued to trace her life, looking for marriage records, death records, anything that might tell us what became of her. The search led us to a different state, to a small town where her birth mother had lived later in life. We found an obituary, dated just a few years prior. Lily's birth mother had passed away without ever knowing that the daughter she had given up was alive and well. The news brought a wave of sadness. We were too late to meet her, too late to bring her the joy of knowing her daughter had found her. But the obituary provided more information, including the names of other surviving relatives. Lily had siblings she never knew about, children of her birth mother from a later marriage. Chapter 4: Finding information about Lily's birth mother even after her passing brought a complex mix of emotions. There was sadness for the missed opportunity to connect, but also a sense of revelation, a deeper understanding of the circumstances surrounding her birth and the difficult choices that were made. The obituary provided names of siblings Lily never knew she had, children of her birth mother from a later marriage. This opened up a whole new branch of her family tree, a possibility of connecting with people who shared her blood, who knew the woman who gave her life. Willie was hesitant at first. After years of living with a hidden identity, the idea of reaching out to strangers who were her half-siblings was daunting. But there was also a strong pull, a yearning to know more about her birth mother through the people who knew her, to understand the woman who had made the impossible choice to give her up. We decided to approach it cautiously. We found contact information for one of her half-sisters, a woman named Carol, living in the same town where their mother had passed away. Lily wrote a heartfelt letter, explaining her story, the childhood in our town, the sudden move, the hidden identity, and her recent discovery of their shared mother. She included a photo of herself as an adult and a photo of their mother from the obituary, hoping to establish a connection. The wait for a response was filled with anxiety. How would Carol react? Would she be welcoming, skeptical, or would she choose to ignore the unexpected message from a sister she never knew she had? A week later, Carol called Lily. Her voice was filled with surprise and emotion. Their mother had never spoken of giving a child up for adoption, never mentioned a baby from her youth. It was a complete shock to Carol and her siblings. But Carol was also open and kind. She was intrigued by Lily's story, and the resemblance she saw in the photo Lily had sent was undeniable. She was eager to learn more, to connect with this sister who had suddenly appeared in her life. This led to a series of phone calls and video chats between Lily and her half-siblings. They shared stories about their mother, painting a picture of a woman who had been loving and kind, but who also carried a quiet sadness, a hidden weight she never fully revealed. It was clear she had never forgotten Lily, the child she had to give up. Meeting her half-siblings was a deeply moving experience for Lily. It filled another gap in her identity, connecting her to a family she never knew existed, people who shared her mother's history, her mother's legacy. There were tears, laughter, and a sense of belonging she hadn't fully experienced before. Through conversations with her half-siblings, Lily learned more about her birth father. Their mother had eventually married and had a family, but she had spoken, sometimes, about a young man from her youth, a love she had lost. She never named him, but the timing and the circumstances suggested he was Lily's birth father. He remained a mystery, a part of her origins that might never be fully known. But finding her mother's later family brought a sense of completion, a connection to her maternal roots. As Lily integrated her new family into her life, our friendship continued to deepen. We had found each other again, two streams that had diverged for decades, now flowing together, enriched by our separate journeys. Our reunion wasn't just about reliving the past. It was about building a new future, a future that included the wisdom of our shared history and the joy of a rediscovered connection. The story of her disappearance, the secret identity, the years of separation, it was a testament to the complex ways lives can be shaped by difficult choices made in challenging times. It was also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the enduring power of love and friendship, and the unexpected ways fate can intervene to bring people back together. Chapter 5. Life has a way of weaving unexpected patterns. For nearly 50 years, the story of my childhood best friend, Lily, was a chapter with an unresolved ending, a question mark that lingered in my memory. The chance encounter with Susan at the animal shelter, the uncanny resemblance, the startling revelation of her true identity, it felt like a mystical thread pulled taut across time, connecting two moments, two lives that were meant to be intertwined. Our friendship, frozen in time for nearly 5 decades, thawed and flourished, picking up where it left off, enriched by the separate paths we had walked. We were no longer just childhood friends. We were women who understood the complexities of life, the weight of secrets, the pain of loss, and the profound joy of unexpected connection. Lily, now embracing her full name and her past, continued to build relationships with her half-siblings, integrating herself into a family she never knew existed. She learned more about her birth mother through their shared memories, creating a more complete picture of the woman who had given her life and then made the difficult choice to let her go. The little blue house on Maple Street, the house where our childhood friendship blossomed and where Lily's secret identity was both created and exposed, became a symbol of healing and reconciliation. Lily decided to stay in the town, drawn by the sense of belonging she had felt here as a child, the feeling of being home that had eluded her for so many years. Our days were filled with shared laughter, quiet companionship, and the comforting rhythm of rekindled friendship. We walked by the river where we used to play, revisited the old ice cream shop, shared stories from our lives, each revelation weaving a richer tapestry of our shared history and individual journeys. The story of Lily's disappearance, the secret identity, the sudden move, it had been a source of pain and confusion for both of us. For her, it was a childhood marked by secrecy and instability. For me, it was the abrupt, unexplained loss of my best friend, a wound that never fully healed. But finding each other again, understanding the truth behind her disappearance, brought a sense of closure, a softening of the edges of old wounds. We talked about forgiveness, forgiving her aunt and uncle for the deception, for the pain their choices had caused, was a complex process for Lily. She understood their fear, the pressures of the time, their desire to protect her. But the weight of the secret and the years of separation had left their mark. It wasn't a simple matter of letting go, but a journey of acknowledging the pain and finding a path towards acceptance. For me, there was the need to forgive the 12-year-old girl who I thought had abandoned me, and to forgive the circumstances that had stolen my best friend. The truth brought understanding, replacing the feeling of betrayal with compassion for the frightened girl who was swept away by events beyond her control. Our reunion felt like a gift, a second chance at a friendship that was meant to be, a confirmation that some bonds are strong enough to withstand the tests of time and secrecy. The echo of Lily's name, a name I had carried in my heart for nearly 50 years, had finally led me back to her. A reminder that the past is never truly gone, and that sometimes the most profound connections are the ones that find their way back to you, weaving together the threads of a life in ways you could never have imagined. We were two women standing on the bank of the river of time, looking back at the rushing current of our childhood, acknowledging the rapids and the quiet pools, and looking forward to the gentle flow of the years ahead. Together, the echo of a name had become the sound of a life, rediscovered and shared, a testament to the enduring power of friendship and the possibility of healing, even after half a century.